Hey guys, Phil here. Before we begin, we have a special ask. Kenny, Aaron, and myself, we've been building a lot of content. We'd like to be able to share more stuff with you. And to do this, we'd really love it if you would do us a favor and go to the website, www.thiscommercelife.com, and sign up with your email. We'd like to be able to send you some extra content that we're building. And then we've heard from you that you'd like some insights on things that we've been sharing on things like SEO and social media and marketing strategies and all those sorts of things. So if you wouldn't mind going to the website and signing up, we'll be able to send you more stuff. Thanks.
Welcome to This Commerce Life. We are an unscripted podcast dedicated to small businesses and entrepreneurs in the retail and consumer packaged goods space in Canada and the United States.
I'm Phil Chang, co-host and co-founder.
And I'm Kenny Benucci, co-host and co-founder of This Commerce Life.
Our love is the journey to retail, and our passion is sharing that with you every week.
And it was, you know what? It was actually really good. It was a really good podcast. Yeah. It was a really good podcast. Yeah. And toward the end of it, he goes, "Can you check?" I said, "What am I checking? I don't know how to check anything." Because
once a year,
did I touch it? I'm thinking, I don't know what buttons. I don't know what to push. I wouldn't even know how to record.
You're never going to repeat that. I mean, as an actress in the background, you know, there's nothing worse. Or even a model. Like I did a photo shoot in Toronto once, and it was like this epic shot. And everyone was like, "Oh my god, this is the shot! Like where this is going to be the front cover." And then the photographer went, "So there was no SD card in there."
Damn it.
And you're like, what?
That was on a once in a lifetime, man. That's why you take the picture. It's never the same twice.
No, you can never replicate.
Oh my God.
That's true.
Luckily, that's not the challenge in the beverage world. If you take enough notes in your formulation process, you should be able to replicate it.
You should be able to.
You should be able to do it. You should be able to do it.
Let me do an intro before we get too far. This is a kind of a funny intro, but a good one. We first heard about you from our friend Peter, and he name dropped you. And
that's Pete's Yeg, Peter Boyd of Pete's Yeg.
Yes, Peter Boyd of Pete's Yeg, and he name dropped you guys, and I immediately went to look, as I do. Both Kenny and I are retail guys, but I go hard on the internet and saw your stuff. Love the stuff, love the story, and I sent you out to probably 3 families right off the get-go because all 3 families have kids on the spectrum and things like that. And so I was like, oh my God, you guys. Right. And then I think I actually hit your live chat or the contact us thing. And I was like, hi, we're a podcast. We'd love to have you guys on. And I think you sent me a note. And then Kenny met you at the BC Food and Bev breakfast on Monday. Well, so this is it's kind of a cool story.
To which I said, did Phil invite you? And Autumn just looked. I don't know who Phil is. Who's Phil? I don't know who's this
some
Phil guy
on some podcast.
And I said, well, Phil said that, he knew you and he talked. You said,
I didn't say I knew her. I just said I reached out on the website.
I will fully own that. I am the worst with names. So unless it's put into context, I mean, so I used to be a scuba dive instructor, and I also used to see stamps. Like I have a crazy weird background on how I got here. And none of my students had names. They were all hun, darling, sweetheart, kids, let's go. Because I am the worst with names. But if you said, hey, the podcast that reached out to you on chat, I'd be like, oh yeah, absolutely.
Because see, Kenny? Yes, see?
Our live chat goes straight to my phone.
All I asked is, I asked him before, did you invite? Oh, sure, I invite her. So, and I talked to you and I'm thinking, doesn't sound like you did anything. So I don't know.
No, we talked, but we didn't get that far. And then anyway, so we've got Autumn Kendrick on, and she runs. Is it GnuSante?
Perfection.
GnuSante, and it's a beverage company that's kind of got some really wicked, kind of unique selling positions. But I think before we get there, we want to hear about you. You've already dropped a couple of hints. There's a modeling life in there somewhere. There's a background actress.
There's acting. There's scuba
diving, and a handful of other things. Yeah. So maybe give us the down low on you, and then tell us about GnuSante.
Tell us down low on you, how you got here, why you got here, and then we get into the product. But let's do more you.
This is just like my Forbes article the other day when he's like, so tell me your story. I was like, oh my God, where do you start?
Yeah.
So I grew up in the industry in a way. My dad, Ron Kendrick, who's pretty well known in the beverage back end world, developed other products, would bring home, 14 versions. Well, not 14, that's an exaggeration, but 4 or 5 versions of the new black cherry that Clearly Canadian is working on or whatever, and say, which one do you like the best? And I'm the little 6-year-old that points to one, and this one, he's like, well, why? I'm like, I don't know. It's the one I like the best. But doing that growing up, I think definitely developed my taste for beverages. That has now come full circle. But if you had told me or betted me as like a 13-year-old, hey, do you think you're going to work with your dad in, your 30s and 40s and have a beverage company? I'd be like, yeah, not in a million years would I ever do that. You could not pay me enough. But here we are, and probably still not getting paid enough, but having a great time doing it. But I was a ballet dancer. I left home really young to study ballet, from Montreal to Winnipeg to New York, went to school, a university in Indianapolis, got to dance in Russia with the Korsakov there, and
wow,
thought I was going to be a ballet dancer and a choreographer, and that was my life. Theme of my life is U.S. green cards and work visas always get my way. So got into a stumbling block, had to go back to Canada, paused my dance career, stumbled into modeling. Modeling was fun, got to allow me to travel the world again. That translated into acting. That brought me to LA. That translated into me discovering ocean, which was scuba diving in my off season as my career was building. And then immigration again. And had to go back to Canada. Back home. And so I'm back home, and I'm doing well acting up here. And then COVID hit. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of working for my dad a little bit here and there, but not really serious. And my sister was running the company with my dad at the time. And she wanted to go be a farmer in Peachland and run and live close to her mom. And she was like, oh, Autumn can take over. And I was like, no, Autumn doesn't want to take over. Autumn can't take over. I don't know what this world is. I'm happy product checking and doing small things here and there. But COVID hit, and I was working on a docu-series that was looking at scuba diving around the world and impact of climate change and what different communities were doing. But obviously travel wasn't happening. So all the projects that were in the midst of getting funding and organized were paused. And I was like, well, I'm not doing anything right now. I guess I can help with little things here and there. And little things here and there got me really excited about what I was doing. And I saw the Newbies Kid project, and I loved who it was serving, and I loved the story, and I loved the fact that it was a company that was focused on putting people and planet first, and they all really resonated with me. And then I also went, but I want an adult version for me, which then led to me getting into the lab and started playing around and figuring things out. And then
next thing you know, yeah.
next thing you have your own kind of baby in the world. And again, it was kind of different issues. We had formulation people working for us, and they had to go home, COVID, all of that. And I was like, well, I went to culinary school for a short bit. I can follow a recipe. I love to learn. So let me learn food science a little bit. And formulation became my weekend dance in the lab job, and Monday through Friday was my sales and figure out how to get this on shelves again. I inherited the brand with kind of a lackluster life for a great product. So it was a relaunch, trying to convince stores that no, it has life again. It has following, and finding bootstrap ways to grow our brand in markets. And that's one of the ways that started reaching out to the sensory sensitive communities and the autistic communities and being like, well, I have a lot of product. I don't have a lot of money. Let me help you in the way that I can, which is get product to your community and kind of build up a fan base that way. And there's nothing better than, you know, you're having a down day or you're getting a no from a buyer or you're having, you know, a technical issue. And then you get an email from a family that says, you've really changed them. You've made their life better. Or, you know, it's the only thing my child will drink. And now we can actually feel good about it. And I save those, whether it's an email response or we get like random cards and I go, this is why we're doing this. We have an impact. We are bringing something better to the community that everyone can feel for. And it fuels our days to no end. So we're excited to get it more into more hands and really been growing in the last year. But immigration, I guess, would be the stepping stones to how I got here. I guess the world always pushes you to where it wants you.
That was Canada not wanting to let you go. I think that's
I think Canada was like,
spin
that a different
don't give
way.
it to her. Just
why are we sharing her? We should just keep her for ourselves.
No, she doesn't go. She doesn't get to
Canada needs to keep its talent, right?
Well, I think that's exactly it. I think
100%.
finally we woke up and said, no, that's enough. Let's just keep her.
Yeah.
Enough sharing. We shared enough.
Enough sharing.
So let me ask you something, just so I understand it. So just, and I guess people can understand it. So you come into a beverage company that has what beverages? What did they do? What did you walk into? So and it's just your sister and your dad owned this, operated this. Sis wants to go to Peachland, so now it's dumped on you and Pop.
Yeah, so
who dumps it on you most likely because that's what Pops do.
He's great, and I'm very, very lucky. And I sing his praise and say I wouldn't be in this position if it wasn't for the the unique opportunity that I was given. Now, that doesn't mean we haven't bootstrapped and dug our way out, but we do have a parent company that's been consulting for a number of years, and that's where GnuSante was kind of born out of. Was tired of trying to pitch cool ideas and good products to people to see if they would buy them. And tired of seeing companies ask for another price reduction on the cost of product and compromising quality and environmental choices to put, 5 extra cents in their pockets. And he was like, the world deserves better. There needs to be a better beverage company out there that really says we care more about the quality and the impacts than necessarily our bottom lines. Now, do we constantly still get laughed at for that? Yes, for sure, because it is an economical world. But that is at our core. So we still have our consulting clients. I love going to a shelf and go, I formulated that and I did that and I did their retweak, and that's really fun. But then GnuSante came from this need of we want to create high quality beverages that put the environment first. And so when I came in, Newbies was the first one to market, and that came out of the family friend that was rejecting foods that my dad, it was just a project off of the side of his table. And then my sister came on and was like, there's nothing like
Newbies
this on the market.
Newbies.
And then is it Newbies the kids version or the adult?
So Newbies Kids was first.
Like the
Newbies
up,
Kids.
Right?
What is Newbies Kids?
Okay.
Newbies Kids is protein and fiber for on-the-go nutrition. It also has calcium and magnesium to support their bones. It's a sensory profile that isn't too thick or too thin. So for sensory sensitive kids who are so sensitive to different viscosities, it's right in their wheelhouse, and flavors that are in their wheelhouse. It's gone through many iterations, but the world it lives in right now is that protein and fiber balance for on the go, no sugar peaks and crashes, and then it has magnesium and calcium to support strong bones.
Okay, not a meal replacement.
So sorry, and then for the
not a meal replacement.
Not a meal replacement.
Okay,
it's Newbies with a G, so it's GNUBEES. So in case anyone's kind of doing what I would
and
normally
this came
do
out
and
of
go
the fact,
surfing, but yeah, it's G and U, But
this comes out of a family, someone in need. The kid just wasn't eating, or just wasn't.
Yeah, rejecting all foods. Like they just couldn't get her to,
That's tough. As a parent, like that's just like, oh my God, if you want to rip your heart out, that's how you rip your heart out when you can't, when they just
And
won't.
the most heart-ripping story that really encouraged me was I had a parent that did a similar story. If you ever go back to the videos of like newbies kids reviews, I open up with a story of a parent that's like, my kid won't even eat pizza. Like, this is how picky our kid is, but they'll down this newbie's banana. So I can feel confident. And it's stories like that mean the world from us, but that's also where we came from. Are we for every kid? No. I don't think any product really can be. But
it doesn't need to be though. But it doesn't need to be. You just need to be for enough kids. To make it a business, and two, to make a difference in these families' lives.
But
absolutely.
So, but for kids too, like if you get pet, like so, lots of kids I know, like they'll only eat things like white rice, right? Because that's all they eat. And you're kind of like having a heart attack. You're going, you can't live on that.
Can't do it. It's not good long term.
No.
Well, you start taking apart all the other things. And so like balance with protein and fiber is one of your kind of big things in here. And like, to me, that's like an immediate, you need protein to grow and you need fiber to poop, right? Like two things that parents 85% literally of us, like your kid doesn't poop for a couple of days and like, blood pressure goes right through the roof, right? Like it's just,
and 85% of us, kids or adults, don't get enough fiber in our diets, which is why it's a really key thing for us.
For sure.
Yeah.
And it also makes, like, a parent's favorite thing is when I say, there's no sugar peaks or crash in our beverage, unlike other juices on the market. It's like, oh wait, there's not going to be that 30-second, comeback bouncing off the walls and asking for more. We kind of address both of those with the fiber. It's regulated sugar release. So that's great. And then I was like, I need this. So my sister had gone, there's nothing like this on the market. And you kind of go, there has to be. It's just so common sense. You're like, it has to be. And then I was like, walk yourself down the aisle. There isn't.
So I'm doing that right now, sort of. I'm farting around the webpage because we've been in retail for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And I can't believe.
So the other thing, like if you're a listener, what you probably need to do is go and have a look, because I'm not going to do it justice, but these are drinks, but they're not in jars or plastic jars or glass jars.
No, we're in a pouch.
They're in like a pouch, right? Like almost like a Tetra pouch, if you will, right?
So we love the pouch for two reasons. Mm-hmm. We love the convenience factor of it, as does parents. That's generally the number one 100%. Reason why they love pouches. Whether it's a kid's durability or we found a huge Gen Zer buyer in the plus line, what we call our big kids line for all of us 9 through 99, because if you're hiking or outdoors or whatever, it packs out flat. It's no awkward container in your backpack or anything like that. But we actually approached it because less water waste, less carbon impact, less mineral usage. Like, there's just so many positives, and we keep reevaluating this packaging and going, is this still the best choice for the environment? And every time we come to the same conclusions, yes, there's pros and cons, but in a totality life cycle, start to finish, it still seems to be the most eco-conscious.
So what we have packaging today, these flat, soft packs are by far the best thing we have today. Easy to ship. You could put trillions into a container that would hold 100 glass bottles.
Oh yeah.
It's all of that, like the carbon footprint, like just there's so many pluses in this thing. Still not where we want to be. We all appreciate that, but
it's still plastic. It's still not where we want to be. And we're working with innovation companies to see if we can help progress them. Since we're self-manufactured, we help them run trials on new technology of different materials. That would be the next step. Unfortunately, they're just not there yet.
Not yet.
We're excited to be joining their story as they progress, and are trying to be set up for that transition. But at this moment in time, this is the best that we can find, and it's our way of trying to take care of everyone. Plus, it's convenient. I'm a huge hiker, so I always have them with me on the go. But
so that's the kids version, and then tell us about the Plus, big kids version, the
big
9 through 99.
Yeah, so that came from me going, wait, I don't want to feel like I'm stealing a child's snack. I want something for me. I want it a little bit bigger. I want a little bit more protein, not a ton. I still want it to be snack portion. I think so many of the drinks that jump up to 20 grams of protein or those higher numbers. They're really hard for our bodies to process and digest unless we're actively bodybuilding. So I wanted a good snack portion of protein on the go with fiber. So working with dietitians to make sure we had those right balances. And then I was like, I want an immunity kick in mine. I mean, we all need calcium and magnesium, but I have a little bit more desire to, kick my immunity with vitamin C and D, and then make it lactose free. Hopefully down the road, we will be switching over to plant-based. But right now, to still ensure we deliver on taste, because taste is paramount. No matter what people say, they're like,
doesn't matter what anybody says. It tastes crappy. Nobody's going to touch it.
Who cares?
So your coconut cream
and organic
and juice.
Juices. Yeah.
And what are you hoping to get to, if you don't mind me asking? You don't have to, I mean, coconut cream and juice. I mean, that's it's already plant-based.
Yeah.
Well, our protein is whey. And as much as everyone forgets, whey is still a dairy.
You know what? Protein. I was looking at the coconut and the juice.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. And the reason we do that out is because we're not a dairy product. We're not allowed to call out that we're lactose free. Mm-hmm. It's one of those weird back end rules. So
that's milk boards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it was our way of kind of letting people know, hey, we're not a milk-based beverage. There is whey protein in it. We still have the contains, but it was our sideways way of trying to address how do we try to communicate this.
Your trick then is just literally just sub the protein.
Yeah.
And whatever is going to be, I guess, the nicest tasting and the easiest to digest, and whether that's pea, soy.
And it will probably be a blend. Whey is still the gold standards of a protein because of its complete amino acid profile. I mean, getting all science nerdy there.
Right. How about hemp?
But so hemp is good. We're looking at a pea hemp blend.
Yeah, because hemp is one of those too, right?
You have to blend them. To get to that full amino acid, but we can get there. So that's in the works, and there's been some really cool advances in technology in the last 14 months that it will make that possible.
Interesting.
We tried pea protein at the beginning of the Newbies Plus story, and it tasted like gritty dried chickpeas.
It doesn't work. Yeah, it needs to. It's like all this shit. You gotta cut it with some other things.
Yeah,
but don't make it a mess. That's what I was trying to think. Like, hemp pea would be interesting. That's cool.
So that's in our world right now.
Interesting.
And so it came out of a need of like, hey, I want something for me. I don't want to feel like I'm stealing a kid's snack, but I still want something that kind of takes me back. So I always explain it. I'm like, they're like a melted milkshake. Like, people expect a puree. I'm like, no, if you've ever took ice cream as a kid and you whipped it into a liquid, that's what our sensory is like. That's what our experience is. Okay. And then all our flavors, I took a nostalgic twist to them. So it's lemon lime cheesecake. It's grape. For me, it's grape bubblegum. Some people say it's cotton candy. Some say it's milkshake. To me, it's 100% grape bubblegum and takes me back to my track and field days. Strawberry is like a strawberry candy or strawberry creamsicle. And then tropical is a fruit punch box made into a milkshake.
Oh, yummy.
You know what? You're good at the marketing. You describe them really tasty.
Yeah.
Which is a good start.
It's a good start. And they do, I wish at trade shows I could just videotape everyone's expressions when they try it, because it's just like, yeah, okay, I'll try it. And then there's this like moment of pause of being like, oh my God, that's really good. And I'm like, yeah.
This is really interesting.
I love it.
I love it. Those were my babies. We have a couple. So we sell 52 North. 52 North is one of ours, but it's technically its own company. That's a birch sap hydration beverage. Okay. My sister still has a hand in that. Really exciting. We're just doing some rebranding. We're doing some cool, exciting things in the background, updating it and stuff. So it will hopefully come back to life. But there's only so many hours in the day.
The tie there is your dad, right? Because I guess your dad's company does a lot of these kind of alternative, beverage containers, really, right? Is because even the 52 North, it's in a pouch, right? Like a unique kind of shape pouch, but a pouch.
Pretty elegant looking though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is elegant. It's a little too tall for grocery shelves. It has to either sit on the top
or the bottom. What's the size?
The height. Of course, you asked me that detail. It's the one I don't know. I just know it's too tall for the standard shelf.
Really? Like, it's got to be like tall then.
I mean, the difference in size shapes is like a considerable, like we're talking.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And the newbies kids sits just perfectly on a shelf.
Where would it go?
If it's sat near like a Perrier bottle.
Well, it depends. I guess that's what I was going to ask you, because we're going to, as you can tell, we have no structure and no organization.
Like, who needs structure?
So, well, if you want structure, you can't. The wrong two people. No. This is definitively not the podcast to be on. Yeah. There's no structure. So, where is this merchandise? Because I'm trying to figure this out. Like, where would you merchandise this stuff in a store? Like, where have you been hoping to be and ending up? Hopefully the same. But
North is not currently in stores. We've actually pulled it all off stores. We're going to do a carbonated version of it in a slim can, and it will be much more approachable, better daily use occasion. We'll probably keep a pouch version for sports, but we'll see. It's in its whole world, and I'm very excited for that. But right now, it's usually gone up against coconut waters, your sapsuckers, your hydration drinks.
Yeah, it looks like I'm looking at this thing going, I think I'd want to try some of this stuff because it looks.
I'm kind of in the same boat. I don't know. I don't. Again, it's okay. This is just 2 cents worth of nothing as usual. I mean, it's because when I think I do think a lot of those guys, and it just becomes either poppy or coconut watery, and then you're thinking meh, because it's already there. It's already. This is kind of a cool package. You're right. Your size is too tall.
The size is too tall.
Relative to where you probably want to end up.
I mean, a sapsucker is a standard.
Well, it's a can. It's a Coke can,
right? So
Pepsi can, whatever you want to call it. Same idea.
Yeah.
I think it's going to go 3 ways for 52 North. I think we're going to do a sports version of it, a little bit more focused on hydration, add a couple functionality things into it, much sportier, much kind of like funky. I'm cool. I know the new hydration drink. Not a saturated market, but a market that's looking for new innovation. We're going to go carbonated, really, really nice. That's our daily use occasion. And then we want to do a hard version.
Well, I like that one.
It's a really good mixer.
Liking that one.
Are you looking for testers or?
We can definitely be product development. If you want someone in the kitchen, we could do kitchen shit.
Come on over. The lab is open.
Be careful.
Always.
Be careful.
I'm here this weekend.
I feel like Kenny's going to be like, guys.
Well, because there's a few interesting spots there. Like, first off, don't say hydration is saturated. Hydration is saturated with a lot of shit.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, there is really limited good hydration shit out there. It's mostly crap. It is a lot of sugar, and a lot more sugar.
Yeah.
There's really not much out there that's very good.
Sprinkling of electrolytes. Throw some salt in there and people feel good.
Like, seriously. I mean, there's just a lot of crap. So it's an interesting angle, because this packaging could lend to that, because when you get into the Gatorade heights, you are no longer obscenely tall.
Yeah.
You're workable in there.
Is it needs education, and education to consumers is ridiculously expensive.
Yes,
at the end of the day.
Yes, it is.
And we're a company that's small and tiny. We have the hopes to be known, at least in Canada, as if you want a functional beverage, let me see what GnuSante does. GnuSante actually has a really cool origin story. It comes from 2 words: new, which is the wildebeest, who's the great migrator, constantly in search of food, and Sante being French for health, a nod to a bit of our Canadian roots. So it actually means relentless pursuit of health.
I like
really
it.
Cool. I really like it.
So we do want to build out our breadth of beverages and functionality so that we can serve multiple communities. That's going to take time. That's our big vision. But in the meantime, we're bootstrapping it and making it work where we can. And birch sap just needs education. There's micronutrients elements to it. There's a lot of really cool history to it. But people kind of go, huh? Is this thick? What do you mean it's water? Like there's a lot of confusion. So it needs time, money, exposure, and brand awareness. I mean, that's everyone's recipe of what they need. I need to drive trial and get more ad exposure. It's like,
no, but you're right though, right? Because the beverage industry is special that way, because in all the other industries you can kind of like You can do a sprinkling of each and it gets there, but for some reason in hydration, we're particularly thick. And it requires, I think, because I have a theory is I think we're particularly thick because we've grown to ignore the high-end production junk beverage advertising that's out there. Do you know what I mean? Like, because we're used to, the big guys and kind of the things.
There's the one big guy who dominates that market.
Yeah.
Whether people even use their stuff anymore is not relevant.
No.
It's the Kleenex of, and that's what you're up against.
Yeah, and then that's the problem, right? Because then everyone figures out, like, well, I shouldn't be listening to any of that, and now you got to outshout all of that, and undo.
You're out shouting, and I think you're also like, there's a lot of gimmicky products out there, like
100%.
that do a sprinkling of whatever ingredient is trending or where they think the next hype is, with not any actual dosage behind it. Because let's be honest, ingredients cost money, which drive up price. But actually putting true amounts, like when our latest baby, this is my baby, is Radiate, which is our sparkling sippable skin support. And it's not only clinically trialed ingredients that show results, but also at the dose of those clinical trial ingredients. And that's where we really are rare. But then again, it comes back to, everyone's been told, oh, this is a collagen beverage, or this is a beverage that's going to help with X. But there's nothing really backing it. It's just like this trend. And I think a lot of people are getting tired of that a bit. And 100%. I think there's now a little bit of mistrust that you have to fight through. I mean, it's the same thing with greenwashing. Is you tell me it's more eco-conscious, but I guess it just looks more like paper.
But is it?
But is it?
Yeah.
So there's that noise to break through in beverage, especially. Which I think we're lucky. We have the ability to kind of play it out. Newbies has been around a lot longer than I'd like to admit. I've been on board since 2020, but I had a Facebook memory the other day congratulating my dad on the launch of Newbies, and it was like 10 years or something like that.
Really?
Yeah. So, but because we're self-manufactured, because we have other sources of income,
we're able to bootstrapping. You haven't asked anybody for a lot of help, which is kind of cool too.
Yeah.
But you know, 10 years ago, actually,
10 years ago, it wouldn't have competed.
Yeah, but even now, like the only thing that comes to mind when you think of a pouch is you think of applesauce. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of the baby foods. I remember,
right? Like the Mott's, kind of little.
I remember pre that. This started in France. There was a company and when I was in France at Sea Isle. Yeah. Like I'm talking 13, 15 years ago. And we had saw these purees. And they weren't like pablum. They were purees, but they were in these packages with these tops, and you'd squish them. You're thinking, holy shit, this delivery is ridiculous. Yeah. This is cool. And this is going back 15 years. Not much has really changed except in that side. So even you guys, if you're 10 years or 8 years or whatever, there's not you're in white space.
The pouch has taken time to adapt. It's really interesting. So BevNet, I had competed at a showdown shortly after. So Newbies Plus, like out of the gate, one product of the year with BC Food and Bev. I was like elated. I was like, how the hell is happening? A couple months later, I was down in California competing at Top New Beverage Showdown with BevNet. And one of the adjudicators was like, why the pouch? Really pushed back on it. He's like, I think your product is great. What's inside is great, but I think you're making a mistake with the pouch. And I kind of held my ground and I was like, that's the one thing I'm telling you is not changing. Fast forward to Expo West this year. And he came to our booth and I was like, hey, we're actually doing a packaging review. We're looking at maybe going into, 100% PCR plastic bottle or something. And he turns around, he's like, stay in a pouch. That was the right decision.
It's the right decision.
And I was like, okay, but it's just taken it's a packaging format that I think is going to continue to grow. If the infrastructure gets built and education continues, from an economical perspective for all us money people who want to make sure that you're still making pennies, it's very appealing from an eco standpoint. It's appealing from a use standpoint. It's going to take some time, but I do think it has a lot of pluses and is appealing. Pouches have been very popular if you go over to Asia.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've spent years in Asia, and the pouch was like, I got my hot coffee in a pouch from my corner store. Right. So I think it's just taking time, but you're seeing it. You're seeing it with, there's waters down now in the States that are in a pouch. You have energy drinks in a pouch. Like, it's growing, it's changing, it's taking time, but it has taken that 10 years for it to kind of be approachable.
Like up here, I can think of two other. I can think of like Yoplait does vanilla yogurt in a pouch, which I actually hear people at Costco complain about, which I don't understand at all. Because to me it's an easier delivery system, but I've no comment on the yogurt, but whatever. And then the other one I've only ever seen is I think it's called Terra. It's an olive oil, and it's in a pouch. And then I love that too, but I haven't seen that very often either.
I think you're going to kind of continue seeing more and more, whether it's soups, whether it's salad dressings, whether it's concentrates. I think you're going to see it more and more.
It's great.
I love it. Continue.
Yeah.
We've had, if you think about it, if there was anything that helped this probably more than anything, is shipping containers at $20,000 coming from overseas. Yeah. You put glass bottles in a $20,000 shipping container, and you tell me what your COGS is going to look like when it lands.
Don't get me started on glass.
But you know what I mean? But that's real. So you put this in there, you get 100,000, a million packages in the same $20,000 container.
Like
it's night and day.
It's a win across the board. The consumers are the last to come on board for it. I think
it's because it's different. It's just different.
There's been an association with baby food. No, I don't want that. That's baby food. I think that's changing. I see that changing. Even in the last 14, 16 months, we're seeing that change. We've asked our consumers, hey, do you want us to switch our packaging? Because we do very much try to listen to them. Mm-hmm. And everyone kind of comes back and says no. And I try to think of our product in a different packaging. I mean, we have radiates in a can. We're looking at expanding 52 North in a can. We do think that's the second, pretty good eco-friendly. Cans have its own negatives. Everything's
got a negative.
Everything has a negative. You just have to find out, do your evaluation of what you can. You can't carbonate in a pouch. If I could carbonate in a pouch, that would be a different world.
but so
are you sure you can't do it?
They'll figure it out. I'm sure between just tell your dad, like, I'm so sorry, Dad. I'm sorry you can't do this, that you're not talented enough to figure this out. And he'll just disappear for 4 or 5 months and come back with something, I'm sure.
We're going to do, there's going to be a concentrated version. So we're also looking to expand into concentrates, because I also think that's the next set of journeys for beverages is more sales and concentrate.
So just add water at home or whatever.
Add whatever base you want. Do you want it in orange juice? Go for it. Do you want it carbonated? Go for it. Do you want it still? Go for it. Like
a soda stream could work if you wanted to carbonate it at home.
Yeah.
If you wanted to, let's say I don't like water, I like apple juice or whatever I choose to like at any moment that I like it. I see. Interesting.
There's something like really, I think the other thing about the newbies, I think that's really cool, is the pouch has like in Canada. So I can't speak for the rest of the world, but in Canada, the pouch has a very kid kind of connotation. And then the pouch also has, I think it has kind of a very nutritious, you know what I mean? Like that, it's made for kids, so it should be good for you, right? So there's an interesting...
Yeah.
Like, I'm wondering if somewhere down the line you start to see people associate, listen, this is a very healthy drink for me because it's in a pouch.
It's in a
right?
pouch.
Like,
I think that's where again, to your point, everything costs a shit ton of money when you're trying to change literally a perception.
That's the corner for you,
but
right?
I think this is the way to do it.
Yeah.
Play on that angle.
And we're excited to see the changes, and the market is growing. Like, we're not the only pouch out there. We're not getting the same pushback we did,
You're right.
It's changing, and that's
100%.
the nature. As much as everything is kind of cyclical and there's nothing really new, there is change, and consumers do come on board, and it does take time. But I believe a lot in the pouch, and when we get pushback, I know the insides and outs really well. And I know our product is good. And if I went into a different packaging to keep it at the price point that it is, I'd have to compromise somewhere.
Then don't do it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'd rather not compromise on the actual product, because that's where our pillar is. So this not only allows us to stay true to picking the most eco-conscious, and we say eco-conscious on our packaging because from sustainable ingredients to packaging to our production method, we have a tiny little square footage production, but we produce more beverages in that square foot than if you took that and extrapolated it out to a large competitor. Right. Like, we just can do it in really compact ways. And our growth plan is not to build a bigger and bigger plant as we grow. Like, we're in really big, cool talks right now. We want to expand and build secondary pods, expanding our ability to step into a community and be a part of that community, because that's who we are. We're all herds. But also that continues to allow us to have that smaller carbon footprint.
Good for you. No, I think I know it sucks being a 12-year-old startup, but you know what? Suck it up. Suck it up. I'll tell you why, because I think this is going to be, I think this ride is totally going to be worth
the ride
every
is
little
worth
bit of it.
And
so who cares?
It's been so exciting. I remember going back to, sorry, we're a close family and everyone's leaving. I remember going back to even like really cool agencies that we do work with people at here and there. Told us to walk away and give up. They're like, you don't have sales right now. It's not growing. It's not going anywhere. I'd give up. And we debated it, and we have a whole other company that was set up to take over and relaunch the product. And then we got an opportunity, and we're like, okay, if we're going to do it, we got to do it now. And you go back to them and you're like, we're so glad we didn't walk away, because we're looking at a whole new exciting world. Like, when the Walmarts and the Targets and the Sprouts and the Metros and the Loblaws and all of those are now going, hey, we want you. You're like, yeah. And we want you. And we're able to bring an uncompromised product to market now that people will receive, that we can feel good about without trying to, fit yourselves.
But stick to your guns even on that side. So stick to your side on that side too, because they all want shit too. And they're going to want you to potentially compromise on your margin structure and your prices, and tell them to stick it.
Yeah.
You pick the retailers that want to work with you.
Yeah. And
because at the end of the day, you know what, whatever, it's your product. And I think, you know what, it should be at a premium regardless. It deserves it. And it's different. So screw them with whatever. Just do your own thing. I like what you're doing.
We try to make it as affordable as we can. And we do get pushback, and people are like, why couldn't you be cheaper? And I'm like, well, because we're not willing to compromise on the science. We're not willing to compromise on the quality.
You don't want to do it.
We don't put crap in a pouch. If you want crap in a can, that's all, you can buy that for 99 cents a can, right?
Well, we say what you put in you becomes you. What you put in us becomes us. So if you put crap in, you're going to become let's put quality in, and we're not willing to compromise on that. But on the other hand, we do massive outreach. So we don't feel bad that we're a little bit more expensive than premium, because we're still giving back to communities. Yeah. We're still finding ways, whether, it's a helping theaters group that we're giving them 500 units, or we have a collaboration with Mamas for Mamas, which is an amazing Canadian organization that if you buy this box, we're going to give a box away. And we also always give them extra product anytime anyway. We have our core. We know what it means to be a member of the community. And, we're not here to make millions. We're here to stay alive. I mean, we still have our employees.
You got to make profits. You got people. Your employees need to eat. You need to eat. But that doesn't mean. So what? Let's say you make copious amounts of money. So what? Give it all away if it makes you feel better.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want with it. But I think you should stick to your guns. I think you guys are doing a lot of the right things. And for those who want cheaper, there's cheap stuff on the market. Go buy it.
There's cheap stuff on the market, and that's never going to be us. But we love having the right partners, like Peter. Who gave me the drop. I couldn't ask for a better partner. He's incredible, but in return, the movement and pull he's getting at his store is insane. He sent me, he gave us an end cap for Radiate the other day, and he's the first place that's had Radiate in store. And he's out of the 4 shelves. After I did a demo on Friday, he sent me a picture on Tuesday, and the middle shelf was empty.
Perfect.
Like, but
awesome.
He gave us the exposure. He gave us the opportunity. He believed in us. He's excited about it. And finding partners like that makes such a world of a difference.
They're out there though. So, and if you think about Peter, right? What has Peter also done? Peter's trained customers who shop his stores to know there's going to be something cool and something new.
Yeah.
He's not humdrum. I mean, I think Country Grocer on Salt Spring, Mark.
They're amazing. Yeah.
If you go into Trail, go see Danny and David and James Ferrero. Like go to Ferrero Foods. Like there's a Kootenai Co-op in Nelson. All these little places in our province, these people will crank shit for you. You know why? Because they believe in their communities too, and they're all local, and they're going to support stuff like this. And they're not scared to have a premium product on their shelves. They don't, if you want Coca-Cola, you can buy it all day. You don't need
you don't need
if you want a bottled water, go buy it.
Yeah.
I want it to be cheap like juice. Well, go buy juice. Like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah, like I'm not going to stop you from buying the juice, but it's a different experience.
Exactly.
And we love our herd. We love our people. There's nothing better than knowing you're serving a need, you're answering a need, and you can feel good about what's in there, and it's uncompromised. And as we expand and grow, it's exciting, but we'll never forget. Like, hopefully down the road, Phil, I won't be the person replying to your instant message.
We're not replying at all,
right
whatever you guys decided.
Well, I think customer service is really important to us, but at this time, I think my partner kind of hates it when we're at the dining room table or at a restaurant at 9:00 at night, and he's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "It's just a customer. It'll be real quick." And he's like, "Please put the phone down."
It's what's going to pay for dinner. Let's move on.
Listen, so at the other end of this commerce life, so I hear you. Okay.
Yeah.
Like I hear you. Bazing, bazing. You're like, I'm not gonna
What are you supposed to do?
My biggest gift, like on one of our anniversaries, I was like, I left my phone at home for 2 hours. And he's like, what? That's the best gift ever.
Exactly. So take advantage of it.
But it's the startup life. And when you have a product you believe in, I mean, I always tell people, like, you have to have love for your product, and you have to have team members that love your product.
I agree.
Yeah.
And find the partners for success and share your story. I mean, I had a massive mess up with newbies on one of our pouch runs, and we had a sticker about 60,000 pouches. But share that. Like, be honest, be transparent, let people into your stories. Let them know what's going on. I think we don't give enough value to the consumer in letting them in on the story, because
I think they do like it too. And I think that's why that's why I think when you look at we do this goofy podcast and things like that, because it does allow people into worlds that they just don't see, they don't understand. And to your point, nobody talks about. So you had a mistake on a patch, you had an overcode. It's actually kind of a cool story.
Well, and then we incorporated it. The sticker design is actually now not that it's a sticker anymore, it's printed. So we're not like manually laboring stickers, but it became a part of our packaging.
That's pretty cool, right?
And it's cool. And it's like, we were able to tell that story, but I think that transparency piece, it's important now, and people want it. And honesty about struggle or honesty about wins, I think only builds your community.
I agree.
Builds your community more.
Totally.
And it's fun. I'm like, I don't want people to just think I'm happy-go-lucky all the time, or that it's easy roads. Like, there's ups, there's downs. You get wins that turn into pauses. You get,
get a couple good losses periodically.
you get
part
the
of
losses,
it.
And you're like, and here's the story, and you bring your fans along with it, and let them be a part of your community, and they'll be the first to celebrate you, as long as your product is solid.
Yeah, you still need to have back to the base at the beginning, like you said. This is something you're going to eat. It needs to taste good. Like, it still needs a need. You gotta go right back.
Still has 100%. To taste great.
Still got to taste good.
Yeah. At the end of the day, and it's really interesting. I have really cool advisors, and I'm so lucky that I got to jump into the world. And in the beginning, I would kind of roll my eyes and be like, here's Ron Kendrick's daughter. But it gave access to a lot of resources that a lot of people aren't lucky to have. And that's why when anybody reaches out to me or has questions, I love to share what I know, because I was very lucky to get, people from Nestle, people from, all these big companies kind of jump and whisper in my ear, positives and negatives about that. So lucky to have resources and people, but I also talk about them. Like, you know, it's a unique element of the story. And I
think it's cool.
People don't get the ins and outs of like all the details. And it's been 2 years of mad learning. And there's still times where I'm like, really? And then that allows me as a consumer to go back to the store shelf and have new respect and understanding for what's sitting on that store shelf.
Yeah.
And why not share that? It's not a hidden cloak and daggers thing. It's like, it is what it is. And every industry has its pieces. And I maybe that's something unique. I bring from such a wide variety of crazy backgrounds, because I always say, like, I use all of my experiences in history and education. Like my undergraduate degree was dance, sociology, social work, and non-for-profit business. And then my master's degree is in cultural studies and education. Like, none of those lead to being in a lab or marketing a beverage or working on branding.
I love it. We love it. So we hear a lot of these stories, right? Because what we hear probably more than anything else is folks like you with talents outside of the retail industry tend to be folks who come in and bring some very just rich, you know, like look at what you've done. It's really amazing.
I think Phil's right.
Perspective, it's work ethic. Not that anyone who comes from the industry or from beverage or from business doesn't have the work ethic, but there's an extra drive, and you come from a different perspective. I think it's the same reason, like, when you're building out your staff, your community, your workforce, like, have diversity in that. They're all going to bring different insights and different perspectives, and listen to them, because that's only going to help you sell better. And you know, just because I'm not a mom with 3 kids, which is the most common question when I get from buyers, like, so how old are your kids? And I'm like, preborn? I don't have kids. But it is a beverage.
Why is that?
And why would you need kids?
Why does that matter?
Yeah,
why does that matter? You've tested a product and you got it right.
You have products in the market, and it's being bought by moms or dads or aunts or uncles.
How about I tell you how many moms with kids really love the product, and then just
really.
I think so often people go, well, why? Like, you must know the answer about what answer your personal need. I mean, like, Radiate came from my personal need. I'm a lazy model who crawls into bed at night and goes, oh, I should have done something for my skin, but I'm comfy now in bed, so that ain't gonna happen. But not all products have to come out from that, but all of them you have to understand and have a perspective to know what you are solving and answering.
But you did that. The problem was there was some moms who couldn't get their kids to eat.
And it's
so it came from if it's that important, it came from the moms. It doesn't have to be a mom who makes it. It just needs someone who's listening to the mom or whomever it is with the issue and try to help resolve it. I mean, what's it matter?
And what I love is it's not just moms. I mean, obviously you have your target demographic and your main consumer, but oh my God, the number of like dads and moms, or even like random age groups who are like, I love newbies. It's like,
we pick on moms because moms are still kind of,
they're still the main purchaser.
It is, right? Yeah. But dads can do it. Your grandparents could do it. I mean, grandparents watch kids, aunts and uncles, and think, geez, you know, I wish this kid would eat a little bit more when they're at my house. They may try some of this stuff.
Yeah, because it's simple.
Well, seriously, because it's not hard.
It's easy. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's not just for kids. Like, obviously we market to kids, but like the number of people outside. And I mean, that's one of the reasons we used to have a new on the front of our packaging. It was very, very kiddie. And I was like, hey, let's age it up, but let's also, you know, make it so if a person, even though it says kids on it, but if a person who's my age, I'm 38, if I wanted to grab it, I don't feel like I'm buying from the baby aisle. It's something just for me too. And plus answers a little bit of that changing need in having an aged up option. But it's an exciting product for everyone. And like, there's not anything that can't be had. The only thing we say is it's 2 and up. And that's just because adding fiber.
Rule. Yeah.
And if, you know, nutritional facts panels.
Oh yeah. You know what? Don't get into the Canadian government. Just let that one go. It's because that's what it is.
It's the number one question we get on online chat is, why can my, you know, under 2-year-old can't have this? And I'm like, check with your pediatrician. Like, it's all like
what they're going to say, everybody. It's all good in the hood. As long as they can eat, blah, 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 blah. It's all good. But you can't say it on the package. So move on.
Yeah,
We,
but
we've run out of time, so we gotta leave this here. I'm really sorry. I feel like we could do this for like another hour. But
well, there's so many stories, but I'm so honored, and I love hanging out with you guys and chatting with you.
We're honored. Mind you,
coming on. We were thrilled.
I'm thrilled to have you on.
Yeah.
And if you ever want two other knuckleheads' opinions, just ping us.
Well, I will be hitting you soon. We're working on cool projects. So
if you want some help, you want some, old
friends to chime in, whatever you want. You got it.
You might pick up an extra dad or two. I don't know if you really want that though. Like you're already working with one. Do you want any others?
Well, Newbies Plus is all about the dads. That's actually who we target. We're like, everyone talks to the moms. Let's talk to dads.
We're in.
Well, thank you guys. It's been awesome. You are wonderful.
No, thanks for you on this one, my dear. We didn't do it. We just sat back and watched. That was really
it was really great.
You've got a lot of energy, and forget the dad part. Your dad did a lot of cool things, but you're
rocking it.
You're carrying this baby. Never mind.
Yeah.
I don't see Pop on the show. I don't see a lot of activity from the old man.
Well, you won't see him on any show. He's in Nova Scotia, and he likes to get his head
Dad,
down
if you listen to this podcast, the daughter needs a race. So get on it.
So buck up.
He's been really kind. He's been really
needs a race. So you just get on that. But,
exactly.
but thank you for coming on the show. It's been amazing.
Good. And thank you for having me. It's been a joy.
You know, Mata, maybe we'll talk to you if you're launching some new stuff over the next 6-8 months.
Definitely hit us back. Yeah.
Ping us back. We'd love to have you back on because I think we could have talked for another hour, but unfortunately we do have to stop this recording and hit the record button again.
I will ping you when the next innovation comes.
Awesome. We'll see you at Food Pro.
Okay.
See you there.
Bye, Autumn.
Bye.
Now.
Bye.